20th. If Nebraska wins the first round game, you'll get 25% off the bid. If they win 2, you'll get 50% off. You must contact Todd at 402-780-1377 before March 20th.
Life is all about balance, so how about a little sweet and a little heat to make your week? At Wings and Rings, we're introducing our all-new Hot Honey menu for the month of March. Try our one-of-a-kind house-made sauce on the brand-new Hot Honey chicken sandwich or our Hot Honey shrimp and slaw. And of course, you can get it on the traditional boneless or smoked wings that have made Wings and Rings your go-to neighborhood spot. But don't wait, Hot Honey is only here until April 1st. So stop by Wings and Rings at one of our 2 Lincoln locations today, on O Street and on Village Lane.
A lot of work goes into making Nebraska, Nebraska. Keeping it green. Helping it thrive. Making it fun. Everything that goes into caring for our outdoors, from waters to wildlife, plays a big role in making Nebraska home. Learn how we help conserve our state's natural resources at OutdoorNebraska.org.
Paid for by Nebraska Game and Parks. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see lots of sunshine. It will be breezy and very warm. We'll see a high around 76. Tonight, partly cloudy skies expected with a low around 44. And tomorrow, mainly sunny skies return, and so does the warmth. We'll see a high around 74. A meteorologist, Kyle Tucker from 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
My dream was to work in commercial banking, but it required a college degree and I didn't have one. I found out that Doane had classes for adult learners on the Lincoln campus and online. So I earned my bachelor's degree, and 5 months later, I landed my dream job. I decided to continue my education, and now I'm working on my MBA at Doane. For me, the Doane experience has been life-changing.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today. If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate, 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
Old School with DP and J.
Do you think it's too early to talk about Patrick Mahomes as the greatest of all time? You know, to be honest with you, I think he might be on ahead of the pace. It was definitely on pace, maybe ahead of the pace. I think right now everything that he does is going to get overblown, and I think people so quickly forgot the 20-year run of the Patriots. Not 5-6 years, 20-year run of Tom Brady and the Patriots.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. It's time to go one-on-one with DP. Coming at you live from the Coppel Chevrolet GMC studios. Here is your host, Derek Pearson. Brought to you by Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Oh, that's such a jam. That is such a jam. It is the Cult of Personality, Living Color, in one of the great underrated albums of all time. It is a smoke show. Listen, welcome to 93.7 The Ticket, 101 DP, hanging out with you on a Monday. And for this week, this is kind of the relaunch and rebirth of Old School's after party, which is one-on-one, to understand what we want to do with it and what we're going to try to do with it through hockey season. Of course, Rocky Russo and the Lincoln Stars, and being a fan and supporter, I concede my Tuesday night 6 p.m. time slot to. You got folks outside the window, gang, gentlemen. It's still a bit of an enigma sitting here at the corner of 11th and O that people really don't know quite how to process the fishbowl.
It is funny. It is great. Shout out to everybody that walks by and gives me a wave here at night. Keeps me company, but it is fun to see. And then occasionally you have the people that are looking in, as you say, the fishbowl, and they're not even sure what it all is yet. And then they step inside and they kind of put it together. Yeah. But it is cool. I catch myself still people watching all the time.
It really is a thing. And we'll get to a point that in some of the shows where we split the camera and just show you the street. If it's snowing out, we'll do that. If there's a storm or some weather, if there's an interesting group of people about, we'll show that just to let folks know. It's really a thing that we get to be a part of the temperature that is downtown Lincoln.
Mm-hmm.
And people will walk in out of curiosity, not really knowing what's going on. And folks who come back to town, folks who are alumni here who haven't been here for a minute. If you haven't been here in the last year, you would not have seen or known what's going on here. And then there are a lot of folks from around the country and traveling with the Supernovas, traveling with the UFC, traveling with WWE. I find so many Husker fans across the country.
Oh, yeah. There's a bar in every city that's dedicated to straight Husker sports.
Mm-hmm. And no matter where I go, there's a Go Big Red that hits up and it shows. And, of course, with Supernovas, usually the Supernova fans on the road are Husker fans who follow it. And, of course, we had Gina and Mancuso Pizzowski on Old School. And a big part of folks on the road is finding out who these folks are and why they love what they love and how they support it. Volleyball. Nebraska is a volleyball state. As a matter of fact, it's the volleyball state. I had this beef with somebody that said, well, no, it's California because of beach volleyball. And I'm like, no, you can play the most. I mean, technically it would be Hawaii, but hey, handle your business, right? Say what you need to say. But nobody's ever gotten together in the masses on a regular basis like Nebraska has when it comes to volleyball. So claim it. Like, be proud of it and claim it. Couple of things in it that have happened along the way, especially here in regards to 93.7 The Ticket. And I got an email today inviting 93.7 The Ticket to the NFL owners meeting as media in Orlando, Florida, where the owners will get together and just let that marinate for a second.
I don't have a camera on me, but my face is, how the hell did you pull that off?
Right. That 93.7 Ticket was invited. We were also invited to the NFL draft.
It's crazy to think this local radio station is just out here doing, I mean, that's real business. That's business with the big boys.
Right. That we're a Lincoln station. Through and through, true and true. Except national people are paying attention. Now, we can say the names of the people who do shows here, and those are national names. Just like there was an era of sports where Nebraska names were so incredibly known, right? That when you say Ahman Green, in the football world, if you're a football fan, you know of and have some real connection to Ahman Green as a football player. If in basketball, look, the guy played all over the league. Like, Eric Strickland is a name. In college football, if you're going to talk about the Huskers, there's some real meat and potatoes to it. There's some real legacy to it. And what I've found out across the country, and a thing happened in getting the invite. So we went to the Super Bowl, right? Which, pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a bucket list for a lot of people.
Pretty cool. And the fact that people in the room knew who we were. It wasn't you're going and you're just hurting people. People lined up to come on the ticket. Like, they knew, hey, look, there are people listening to your station. We want to be on it. And to find that out. And then for the UFC, no matter where I go for the UFC, they're Huskers in the room. Mind you, there's a lot of Nebraska people in the UFC. A pretty substantial number of folks are in the UFC. Anthony Smith and Lionheart Smith, who shout out to Anthony Smith. Again, born and raised in Nebraska City, lives in Omaha. He actually got us, we met at a Supernovas practice. Because one day I'm doing, post-game show for the Supernovas. And I get a text, hey, bro, I didn't know you did play-by-play for the Supernovas. I'm like, yeah. And he goes, we're at the game. And it's Anthony Lionheart Smith and his wife and his kids. And I said, well, geez, come down, come meet everybody. He goes, oh, you could do that. I'm like, yeah. Like, yeah, I think I can handle that for you. And he says, well, all of my daughters are volleyball players. He goes, my oldest is 12, and she's a player. Like, she plays for one of the travel teams, and it's a big deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Anthony Smith's wife was a volleyball player. And Anthony's a large human being. So the daughter wins the genetic lottery, and then I start to do the math. Well, the daughter's probably pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
His daughter is 6'2".
Oh, God.
She's 12. And we make a point, media day for Supernovas is on a Tuesday. But last Wednesday, before we took off, I made a point to, hey, I want to invite them specially to a practice. So Supernovas allowed us to invite Anthony Smith and his family to a practice. We also invited Rashawn Jackson and his brother to practice. And the young lady walks in, and it's the great. It was like from a movie, right? That here's a 12-year-old. And think back to 12-year-old young ladies.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're 6'2", there's some discomfort.
Yeah.
Right? The being the tall girl.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Until you walk into a world of tall women and you realize they're superheroes and they're badasses.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine this 12-year-old girl who's being received by the best volleyball players in the world. And I was so proud to be there and to watch it, to see what happened in it. And Rashawn talked to the team, his brother, who's a hero in many, many facets of life. He explained his situation, all the heart surgery he's gone through and managed, right? And the Supernovas were so welcoming and warm and good that then okay, you know what? We're really surrounded by really good people. Because when I go to UFC, I've got Anthony Smith, Drew Dober, I had Derek Minner, who would come on the ticket, who were in the UFC. And when I'm at events, like to have that cosign of having Nebraska fighters, like there's our guy. And then to go to the NBA and, you're Bryce, Strick, like there's a full range, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, even Delano Banton,
right.
That's recent, but he is killing it with the Portland Trailblazers.
Right. And so to be able to tell those stories and get access to the stories, you could get lost in it. But then here's the thing. To listen to people talk about sports in Nebraska, that there were no real substantial student athlete shows when I got to Lincoln. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, that's fair.
Right? That it wasn't being done. So I made the suggestion that I wanted to I wanted to start bringing them on air. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember, and I don't want to give the names because folks will figure it out, but hey, that's on them. Where I said, hey, I'm going to have a bowler on Old School. And somebody said, well, why? Why would you do that? And I said, well, because they're Husker athletes and there's some pretty cool stories if we
few national titles
right,
too. You put some respect on their name.
If you could look, right? If you could look at it, right? And they're like, but nobody's gonna listen. I'm like, okay. Bowling and then gymnastics and then swimming and then the full range. Soccer. Like I remember talking about wrestling and having somebody go, no, just talk football. I only want to talk football. I only want to hear talk about football. Well, okay, that's kind of lame. Kind of weird. Kind of lame. Basketball. women, men,
Mm-hmm.
post game, softball, baseball. And I think back to 4 years ago and what it was really like. And I sat on a plane tracking women's softball, women's basketball, and men's basketball in the state of Nebraska to watch the men's team play Michigan
Mm-hmm.
and the women's team playing Iowa. And then getting reports of the baseball team being down 5 runs and rallying, and the softball team figuring out a way to win. National champions, so you get 4 Husker wrestlers going that advance to the semifinals. 9 of the 10 making themselves eligible for the NCAA tournament. 9
Mm-hmm.
Husker wrestlers will wrestle with the opportunity to be a national champion. Here's Josh Lowe with a haircut. Well done. 9 in the right, with an opportunity to become All-Americans. 9. So shout out to the wrestling program.
Yeah. Coach
Shout
Manning has had that machine, and it's good that you bring them up because it's not like this is new. Even when you got here 4 years ago, there's no reason there's not enough Coach Manning and his team on air talking their story, because they have been, not only good, they've been fantastic for years, and they just happen to be in the Big Ten where there's a lot of other great competition, but they're right up there with them every single year.
I got the text about track. And you go, wait a minute. This is one of the top 10 programs in the country.
Won the Big Tens last year. The guys did it.
Right. Like this is, and they're so good that you have the best shot putter in the country who's not even competing indoor because she's competing on the world championship stage. Men's gymnastics. And Sam Phillips is having a year.
Mm-hmm.
He's having a year. And so is this team. They're having a year. Heather Brink and women's gymnastics. They're having a year.
Mm-hmm.
And the names with Kenzie Roby and Michaela Curtis and
Emma Spence
and Kenzie Davis having a career. And coming from a legacy gymnastics family with a dad and mom who are in the Hall of Fame here, like Olympians, right? That you could miss out on some really cool stuff. I watched more Nebraska soccer this year than I've watched ever, and was fully bought in.
The leading goal scorer in the country. It's just incredible.
Right? Like, what is...
Yeah. And they just barely lost to, I think it was Stanford in that semifinal, but they were right there. And it was a great season. That is one where, if I had one regret, I watched some soccer. It did not make it to a live match, though. And that's one I got to do better, because you're dead on right. This story, if you weren't paying attention to the women's soccer team, what a crazy run they had.
Fantastic. Harold Swisserman text on. He asked, did Polar Bear qualify? Yes. Nash Hutmaker qualified for the NCAA tournament. He qualified for the NCAA tournament.
Yep, dropped 40 pounds, got in shape, started wrestling, started off big versus Wyoming, but I know a lot of people tuned off. He kept going. Like, he hasn't taken this foot off the gas at all.
That you're talking about in the Big Ten conference.
Mm-hmm.
If you were in the meat and potatoes conference, he'd be a conference champion. But he's in the Big Ten conference where there are some real dudes. There's some dudes who have been wrestling for their whole careers. They didn't take time off for football. They didn't take time off for anything else. He's going to go to the NCAA tournament. And to tell me there are people that say, well, that's a terrible idea. No, you know what? He's going to be so much better at football because of what he's done in wrestling. Remarkable. Shout out to Ridge Lovett.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Big Ten champion. And here's the thing about the wrestling program. They are so, again, if they're in the SEC, if they're in the Pac-12, they win it, and they're number 2 in the country because they don't have to face Penn State.
Yeah.
Literally.
If that's true, they're conference champion year after year after year. Maybe once in a blue moon, someone sneaks it, but it's Husker all the way.
Right? Like,
but they're in the Big Ten.
Yeah, okay. It's like, okay. Yeah, you could, if you're anywhere, Penn State, Iowa, like whoever it is, okay, fine. And at this run of what's happening in Nebraska athletics, and listen, I'm not disingenuous enough to tell you that everything all is gold in the athletic department or at the University of Nebraska. I'm not that dude. Like, that ain't my job. No. But what I can tell you is that I'm proud of the young people and what they've accomplished through all of the things that go on, through COVID, through NIL, trying to figure it out. For all of that, yeah, shout out Jenna Rogers. Women that listen, that's what the text line is for. That we don't ever want to be disconnected from you. So if there is a thing that you want us to talk about, please do. That's what it's for. I mean, we get caught up in the other nonsense that happens, but the reality is Nebraska athletics at its core, at what it's trying to be, is it should be as things are. Should be able to think of any Nebraska athletic sport and think that it's not unreasonable to see them in conference championship caliber play competition, no matter what sport it is, rifle, right? That there's, with all of the resources and the place in the country, that Nebraska should be able, like, okay, rifle, come through. Like, come talk. Like, we'll talk about it. Cross country, swimming, diving, and the success they're having. Softball being a part of the national conversation. Baseball with an RPI sitting in the top 5 because they chose on purpose to level up in the early part of the season, when there are people that tell you, don't do that. Don't do that. But they said, listen, we're going to load up the schedule because a good loss is better than a bad win. Has more value to you. If you can't trust the folks in the Big Ten that if you win the Big Ten, it's good enough to just guarantee you a place. No, you can't do that sort of thing. So we'll bowl. But hey, to make it competitive, and again, it's Nebraska, so it's not like you're in Florida where you're in. It was 80 degrees at UCF this weekend. It's 80 degrees. It's easy to recruit baseball players to UCF. You can play in 80 degrees in April and March. It ain't that kind of party down here, Haymarket. But they figured out how to be competitive and of character and with purpose. And you say, oh. And I said all of that to draw the picture that what was is not now. The way you think of and talk about Nebraska athletics is different now than it was 4 years ago.
Yeah, 100%. Got down here in 2018. This does feel like, and again, this is being in Lincoln, but it's definitely got to be the best time to be a Husker in a while. It feels like everything across the board is trending on the way up. The volleyball team, yeah, they fell short. National championship. Football fell short of a bowl game, but I think most people forget with Matt Rule. We talked about both men and women's basketball programs. Fantastic. Manning, what they're doing, 9. Going to have a chance to be a national champion, not just Big Ten. Soccer team, they had a great run. The bowling team, I don't think anybody's expecting them to take their foot off the gas. Like, the list just goes on and on and on.
They're ranked 6th in the country and probably more likely 3.
And I think track's refitting to have women this time too, to have another shot to go ahead. I know they're leading in some of the relays in the Big Ten in itself. Things are looking up in terms of this whole athletic program.
And through all of it, right? Again, you're at a crossroads.
Yes,
because there's
that's
some
important to remember,
right? That there's some things going on that could muddy the water if they're not handled properly, and how that's handled. That's a whole other conversation for other folks. First of all, nobody's going to tell me what happened in certain situations when I was a part of it, right? Like, just don't. And if I'm not talking about, there's a reason. There's reason. Like, I'm a lot of things. Dumb is not one of them. So purposeful. Then I say, here's the thing. If we said 4 months ago that the Huskers, one of the Husker basketball teams, was going to play for the Big Ten Tournament Championship, we would have been sent immediately down to a psych ward for evaluation.
Facts. 4 years ago, the conversation was, at least on the men's side, the conversation was Scott Frost or Fred Hoiberg, who's got the better chance to turn things around. A lot of people at the time were saying Scott Frost, which is crazy to think.
Right. Like, think about that. That if we had said in July, in August, September, even as late as September, October, November. If we had said at the on Christmas Eve, on New Year's Eve, if we had said going into 2024, hey, book your tickets for a Big Ten Tournament Championship game because a Nebraska team is going to play in it. And then we were given free cash to go to Vegas to make a bet that a Nebraska basketball team would play for the Big Ten Tournament Championship. How much money would you have won by making that bet? And how many people would have laughed at you?
Oh, I bet you the odds would have been like plus 5,000,
like
plus
crazy,
6,000.
right?
You would have had to put in a few bucks to make a killing.
Crazy, right?
Well, even the Creighton game for the men's team, it is wild to me to think, because I remember that Creighton basketball game. If we got the blows dorm, it was ugly from start to finish. To think this team's never going to lose on this court again. That early, after that one bad loss to Creighton, this
again,
team
a
is
bet
never
that a bet that you could have said, hey,
plus $10,000 on that.
Think about it. That, hey, Vegas, I'm willing to bet that Nebraska never loses a Big Ten home game. I'm just painting the perspective. We're going to go to break. When we come back, Ellis, I'm going to get to your text. And then, but I want to get into what has happened to Nebraska basketball. What happened? What got us here? DP one-on-one.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store. You're listening to One-on-One with DP on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Prashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
Mentoring program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. It doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
For over 15 years, Integrated Life Choices has empowered individuals with disabilities in Lincoln and throughout Nebraska. They provide comprehensive services from group homes and independent living services to job training, ensuring fulfilling lives for those that they serve. Now, they're inviting you to join their mission. If you are passionate about making a difference in the lives of people with developmental disabilities, explore rewarding career opportunities with them. Learn more about their services and apply today at www.ilc.net. Be a part of Integrated Life Choices, where your work truly changes lives.
Houses? They're expensive. And once you buy one, you're kind of stuck with it for a while. You need to make sure you get your best house for the best price. You need Ben Bleicher and his team of pros at Professional Realty Group. They'll take the time to figure out what's important for you in your dream home, and they have the expertise to find the hidden issues that could surprise you after the sale. That's professional knowledge, proactive service. We call that potential. Ben Bleicher and the team at Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway's home service ambassador. Find more online at prg-ne.com.
Life is all about balance, so how about a little sweet and a little heat to make your week? At Wings and Rings, we're introducing our all-new Hot Honey menu for the month of March. Try our one-of-a-kind house-made sauce on the brand-new Hot Honey chicken sandwich or our Hot Honey shrimp and slaw. And of course, you can get it on the traditional boneless or smoked wings that have made Wings and Rings your go-to neighborhood spot. But don't wait, Hot Honey is only here until April 1st. So stop by Wings and Rings at one of our 2 Lincoln locations today, on O Street and on Village Lane.
This is Brad with Midwest Bank, proudly serving our Nebraska communities for over 70 years. We're a community bank, making local decisions, supporting local organizations, and helping local businesses and farms succeed. We are dedicated to serving our clients and helping them meet their financial needs with sound, innovative banking solutions. From an array of checking and deposit accounts, cash management services, to small business, real estate, and ag lending. We're here for you. Your community, your bank, Midwest Bank. Find out more at midwestbank.com. Member FDIC.
Rain, snow, or shine, John Henry's is here to keep your home's plumbing systems working properly no matter what kind of weather Nebraska throws at us. From unclogging toilets and drains to installing new water heaters and water treatment systems, John Henry's is your plumbing expert in the Lincoln and Omaha communities. Visit us at calljh.com or call John Henry's.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
And electrical.
Landmark Implement is your local authorized John Deere dealer. Landmark's trained and certified sales staff will help you find the right equipment for your needs at a price that's right for you, all backed by Landmark's extensive parts and service network. Whether it's a tractor, planter, combine, an easy track lawnmower, or gator, every piece of equipment in pre-owned inventory is put through a rigorous inspection so it's ready to work hard for you. Landmark's team works together to make sure everything is sold meets their quality standards. Learn more at landmarkimp.com or stop into a local Landmark location and experience the Landmark difference.
A lot of work goes into making Nebraska, Nebraska. Keeping it green. Helping it thrive. Making it fun. Everything that goes into caring for our outdoors, from waters to wildlife, plays a big role in making Nebraska home. Learn how we help conserve our state's natural resources at outdoornebraska.org.
Paid for by Nebraska Game and Parks. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
On the Block with Strick and Austin.
Now, to tie it back to Nebraska men's basketball, this group has a chance to do something that hasn't been done before.
Yeah.
You know, in making a run in the Big Ten tournament, a serious run, in winning the first NCAA tournament game, but they're not going to get there by doing the same things they've always done. It is on this team to step up and change that narrative. It won't change on its own. Teams won't lay over for you, and that's the mindset shift we haven't consistently seen yet.
Weekdays from 2 to 4 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. You're listening to One on One with DP. Brought to you by Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
A little John Cena action to open the door in segment 2 of One on One on a Monday. And shout out to John Cena. First of all, he follows me. I don't know that I can have a bigger follower.
What you think about Johon Cena?
That's
Was the Oscars?
Well, that was the whole
Gold?
thing, right? That
Surprised me. That was a little too much John Cena for me.
No, it was perfect.
I don't know.
Listen,
Let's get a little bigger note card.
No, Harris, here's the thing. If I'll ask you this question, I want an honest answer.
All right.
If you were built like John Cena, would you ever wear a shirt?
Okay, no.
If I was, listen, real talk. If I was built like John Cena, I would walk around just covering one part too. Like I would just literally walk around and just.
Yeah, you put the work in, you know.
Right.
I'll be honest, still not my favorite way, but I will say there was a big outrage for it, which I didn't quite understand. I was
it was just different because it's different. Yeah. Think about it. That John Cena has given access to himself in a way. I watched a movie when we were on the road that was just released about John Cena. That wasn't about John Cena.
Like a documentary or
No, it was a comedy. And John Cena stars in it. And it had not been promoted enough for me to know what it was, that this was a thing. But here's what happened. John Cena's funny.
I mean, he's always had the mic skills. I can believe that.
So the movie is called Ricky Stenicki. Ricky Stenicki. And the whole thing is about guys who are friends who make up this imaginary friend, right? So that they can go and party. Like their wives, they know the name, Ricky Stenicki.
Mm-hmm.
And Ricky needs us in California. This is a thing.
And he's fictional.
Right, he's
Ricky's
fictional guy. And then finally, one of the in-law moms goes, I don't believe this guy's real. And so in true Hollywood fashion, they're looking for somebody, right? They need to come up with a Ricky Stenicki. And they go and they meet this guy who's an adult film actor. Again, talk about reach, that John Cena is going to play that, right? And he's a weird guy. But they said, no, he's an actor. Nobody knows who he is. So let's use him.
Mm-hmm.
So they hire John Cena to play this
Ricky Stenicki.
This Ricky Stenicki. And Cena has zero boundary in the role. He's literally like just the conversation. He's weird and quirky, and it's exceptional. It's exceptional. And it caught me off guard because I didn't know this was a thing. There's also there's a show, Freelance. Have you watched this on Netflix? Year 3.
I don't think I have.
Year 3. Again, Cena as some version of a weird superhero guy.
Mm-hmm.
Hilarious. So the fact that you're getting this version of John Cena, which was a thing that happened with The Rock, it didn't happen with some other WWE superstars.
Mm-hmm.
But The Rock made the transition.
You're talking like the movie Hollywood industry transition?
Yeah, going from being a full-time wrestler to an actor,
mm-hmm.
a character actor, a comic actor. That The Rock, what was the John Travolta Get Shorty, maybe?
No, it's not Get Shorty.
Right? That Vince Vaughn is in it, right? And
let's look it up.
Yeah, and The Rock plays kind of an enforcer for Vince Vaughn, who plays a wannabe gangster, right? And The Rock was hilarious. He was hilarious in it. Be cool.
Yep. Be cool.
Thank you, Kip. And you weren't, wait a minute, Rock. You can do the superhero thing. Like, you can do the comedy thing. So I'm cool with John Cena crossing over like that. That was special. Like,
it was interesting to me.
Like,
It just caught my eye, certainly.
Well, and they didn't hype it. Like they didn't they didn't preview it and put it out there. Hey, be sure to watch for John Cena tonight. No,
I did think he was pretty quick. It was pretty funny, like the bit where he's like, "I don't want to do the bit anymore. I don't want to do it. It's a bad idea."
Right? Like
he's like, "No, we're doing it."
Hilarious. So, I kind of enjoyed that. Alice in Illinois sends this. Says, DP, I have a beef to pick with you. My kid graduated 7 years ago and was 84-time All-American. You would have loved to get to know Jacob. Is it Natoli or Natalie? Natoli. At that time. I put you at fault for not for not putting on the tickets sooner. Appreciate you. Love everything but you in the ticket. Thank you, Ellis, and introduce us to Jacob.
Yeah, he's probably still got some great stories from 84.
Introduce us as quickly as possible. In whatever way, find me on social media. Have him call the ticket. Whatever can be done should be done. Kip, thank you very much.
The 80s are always kind of the mystical era for me, too, in Husker athletics. Because that's when coverage is there, but to get some of the real stories of what was going on, that's where it's really fun to hear some of those players from the 80s, what it looked like for those guys. Because, I was listening to Ricky C. Simmons' show. He had Mitch Crank on there. He's tight end. He's the one that caught the Bouncer-Ruski play. And talking about playing in they called it the mushroom garden because of all the terrible field conditions. And that was for the wall. It's just a crazy era in the 80s. It's just you got to kind of hear from those people personally. Otherwise, there's not enough out there to fully understand it.
I talked to Tommy Davis, Touchdown Tommy Davis,
Mhm.
and he's on social media, and he reached out and just said, "Hey, I'm out here. I want you to know I follow the show. I follow the station. Let's do it." I'm going, that's really, like, that's literally the whole point of all of this, right? And people say, well, you live in the past. No. Those people have earned the conversations.
Mm-hmm.
They've earned, like, if you put in that kind of work, you've earned the right. First of all, if you're good enough academically to get in the University of Nebraska and get accepted, you have done an amazing thing.
Mm-hmm.
From all over the state, where every kid in the state probably wants to attend one of two universities. Everything else falls in line based on that, right? That you qualify academically through all of your work in high school to qualify and get accepted to the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. Except you spent half of your time, a third of your time, practicing and in high repetition of a sport, and then played that sport at the highest level collegiately at a university of renown against the top level competition at the same time that you competed academically with the smartest people in the state. And then, while you were playing football against Oklahoma, you still had to at least maintain the idea and concept that you were a student at the University of Nebraska. Now, all of that's relative to a point, but listen, any time spent in a classroom when you're trying to beat Oklahoma says that whatever work you put in, the amount of work that you put in at practice, in the gym, weight room, film study, etc., all the sacrifices you make for not being in certain places, when the average student at University of Nebraska-Lincoln, while they have responsibility, can then go and do other things without retribution or sacrifice. And then to actually compete in the games at the highest level, and then to make plays at the highest level, you deserve to be heard because you know things.
Mm-hmm.
You know things.
Definitely no hard work.
You know things. Listen, sitting in the stands at Memorial Stadium is not the same as playing on the field against Oklahoma. It's not the same.
Yeah, facts. But there's no question about that.
Right. And there are people that go through and go, but I love this and I follow. No. You didn't have to lift a weight. You didn't have to take a hit. Nobody gave you a concussion. Mm-hmm. Nobody broke a bone. Nobody tore a ligament. Nobody had to rebuild the ligament. Nobody had to rebuild the calf muscle. Nobody had to go back and rehabilitate. You didn't have to go get Tommy John surgery because of the way you cheered. You
didn't have to take exams for, pretty tough college courses on your way back from a game. Like, that's one of my favorite things about the show. Not this show, Ticket Weeknights, is it's completely any argument that the student athletes got it easier than the rest of the student body.
tells me you are not an athlete. That's what it tells me. It tells me you don't know. Listen, I was a chronic underachiever academically in that I was tested early, high IQ, super high IQ.
Oh, your mom had to have been so on you all the time.
Great expectation, right? And over the course of time, I'll tell the story of busing in America, and that when I was in third grade, I was at a black school in a black neighborhood. They tested all the black students to find individual students to put into the busing program to test it to make sure it worked. And being told that you not only do you have to be better academically than everybody else, that you're not going to get credit for being better academically. And you have to be better athletically because these coaches aren't familiar with having black players. And they're local coaches. So who are they going to play? Friends and, sons of friends, etc. Imagine that. Like, imagine that how much more work I had to do academically to be considered a good student and to be a good athlete. And I told people all the time, told my sisters, what are you complaining about? You get to study all day. Like, I got to go to the gym. I got to go work out for 3 hours just to get to play. And I still have a better GPA than you do.
Mm-hmm.
Mom, that's not fair. And she goes, yeah, but nobody's cheering for you when you walk through the mall. Nobody's cheering for your sister when she walks through the mall. Nobody's calling your sister and saying, hey, come to college for us and play for us.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, can I get you to write that on the wall? Can you write that down so I can put that in? Because that's the only thing. I'm so appreciative of people who do more than expected and expect less from it. I love the fact that these student athletes make themselves accessible. They come here, they make time, they want to share the stories, they want to laugh, they want to cry, they want to feel, they want to be heard.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate the listeners who simply give them that space. And they reach out on the text line and they say, thank you, job well done, good job. I talk to the athletes and they tell you how cool it is to have the listeners come up to them at games and say, hey, I listened to your show. Do you know how big that is? Like, they know why you came to the game.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that you give them time personally to listen to their show is a game-changing, life-changing thing.
It's more personal because you're hearing them. You're listening to them. It's like sitting down with them and hearing their whole story.
Like, Sam Hoiberg tells the story. Like, he goes, I appreciate the fact that people cheer at the game, but when you tell me you give me an hour of your time to listen to me and Jeffrey talk about life, they're touched. They're forever changed by it.
Mm-hmm. And you get the rosters. I remember when he first came in, and usually test the waters out with those guys. You got to hear Sam Hoiberg before he was the Sam Hoiberg that everybody knows and loves talk about being the coach's kid. Right. He wasn't on the court playing yet. And he gave his
end
story
of the bench,
mm-hmm.
like beyond. He was behind the bench, and I said this to you then. He's going to be fine. Like, when you talk to him and you meet him, oh, he's that dude.
Well, when he put 20 pounds of muscle in like one off season, I was like, okay, he's putting in work.
He's working.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll throw the break. We'll close out. We'll talk about Sam Hoiberg and the men's basketball program, the women's program as well. We'll close out one-on-one.
Watch live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. You're listening to One-on-One with DP on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Nebco is hiring CDL drivers for Ready Mixed Concrete, Husker Concrete, and Beatrice Concrete. Nebco offers great pay, medical and retirement benefits, paid time off, and we pay for CDL training. Apply today to earn an average total compensation of $50,000 to $60,000 your first year driving. From Nebco's beginning in 1908, it's the employees that have formed the company's solid foundation. Start your career today. Visit nebcoinc.com. That's NEBCOINC.com.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
The Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see lots of sunshine. It will be breezy and very warm. We'll see a high around 76. Tonight, partly cloudy skies expected with a low around 44. And tomorrow, mainly sunny skies return, and so does the warmth. We'll see a high around 74. A meteorologist, Kyle Tucker from 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Houses? They're expensive. And once you buy one, you're kind of stuck with it for a while. You need to make sure you get your best house for the best price. You need Ben Bleicher and his team of pros at Professional Realty Group. They'll take the time to figure out what's important for you in your dream home, and they have the expertise to find the hidden issues that could surprise you after the sale. That's professional knowledge, proactive service. We call that potential. Ben Bleicher and the team at Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway's Home Service Ambassador. Find more online at prg-ne.com.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Biggest question people have is, how do I start the process? What is the process? I want to build a new home, but I don't know what the first step is.
Bob Benish is the founder and president of Aspen Builders, online at aspenbuildersinc.com.
The first step is make an appointment. Come on into my office. Let's sit around the table. Let's talk about what you're looking for, what your needs are, what your budget might be. And let's come up with some answers on what we're going to build, where we're going to build it, and what it's going to cost. So now is really the time to be contacting us to get an appointment to get the job done before school starts. Once you find a good lot, let's get it reserved because there's a very limited number of lots in this town. And then start designing that floor plan that's going to be perfect for you. Next thing you know, we're moving dirt.
Make your dream home a reality and call Aspen Builders at 423-6811. Online at aspenbuildersinc.com. Your home is waiting at Aspen Builders.
At Union Bank, people don't have your money. Your money has people. First home people, investment people, people who answer the phone and your chats, dream car people, dream retirement people, driving your dream car in your dream retirement people, small business people, credit card people, and all the other people you need. At Union Bank, our people help you do more than you dreamed possible. So stop in and say hello. We can't wait to see you. Union Bank and Trust, member FDIC.
Are you working in or looking to get into the electrical construction industry? The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. And Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Happy Hour.
Husker softball in all preseason polls. In the 4 polls, 13th, 15th, 17th, and 18th. USA softball is part of that. Softball America is one of them as well. D1 softball. Top 20 as a team, and they have at least 2 players in every top 50, top 100 poll, with Jordy Ball being anywhere from second. Honestly, I think third was her lowest ranking in some of those. And Billy Andrews. Usually it's those two. There was one that had Kate Kaneda.
Weekdays from 1 to 2 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. On the Block with Strick and Austin.
Now, to tie it back to Nebraska men's basketball, this group has a chance to do something that hasn't been done before.
Yeah.
You know, in making a run in the Big Ten tournament, a serious run, in winning the first NCAA tournament game, but they're not going to get there by doing the same things they've always done. It is on this team to step up and change that narrative. It won't change on its own. Teams won't lay over for you, and that's the mindset shift we haven't consistently seen yet.
Weekdays from 2 to 4 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now in our new time. We're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
You're listening to One on One with DP, sponsored by Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Thank you for hanging out. We're One Nation Under Groove. Appreciate you hanging out. I want to close with this, that there's so much good going on in the Husker athletic space that you just want to applaud and say to the student athletes who have put in the work, congratulations. You deserve the wins for all the young people that competed in the state tournament last week. Congratulations, because you're going to remember that forever. You're going to remember that. Anytime you compete at that level and have that opportunity for success, it's not guaranteed that you're going to have success when you get there, but it shows that you put in the work to get there. And then getting there, and for the state champions, for the runners up, for the all tournament players, for the all tournament coaches who listen, in that environment, you led a community. Every community that showed up in Lincoln last week for the state tournament, for those 2 weeks, the communities got better because it happened.
Did you figure out your counties throughout the week?
No. No. I was running. I was running around.
That is cool. And it is fun to see, because that's part of the fun with it's fortunately they don't do it anymore, but the county game, because you do get to see 13 counties, shout out Cedar County, where I'm from. You see all the waves of counties and you're like, okay, who's all in state? Which communities are landing in Lincoln this weekend? And it's always a lot of fun. You have the regulars. I will say Britt Prince, Scott, I know that it's 4 years in a row where they fell out short, but again, it's great competition because they're still there. And we'll be honest, like Britt Prince and that team, they could have ran through over and over, but 4 years in a row, incredibly competitive basketball games. And it was the peak. I mean, they fell short, but again, awesome basketball 4 years in a row. A lot of people can't even say they made it to the playoffs on some of these high school rosters. So again, shout out to you for even getting there that many times.
Look, man, I was a part of a program that can't win the big one. And I always said, how do you think we got to the big one? We didn't win the biggest one, but we won a lot of big ones. That's how we got here.
Mm-hmm.
We won a lot of big ones. And then when you win that and you say, well, what'd you do different? I lost all of those and I learned. The ones I didn't win, I learned. Then I went and got chips. Get in line, people. That's how it works. Listen, thank y'all. More Ticket Weeknights coming up here on 93.7 The Ticket.